you hit the Charles stuff? You got to hit the Charles voice. Well, you said you're ready to go live, right?
She meant live, like.
Oh.
You know.
Oh. All right, let's get over to the Foss book.
And it's chilly, but it's going to be like 70 degrees later on this week.
Yeah, Wednesday is 70 degrees.
That's crazy.
Oh,
Welcome to Texas.
Looky there. There's Kathy. Hi, Kathy.
Where am I?
On my screen.
Hello.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, JP.
It's Monday. Monday morning. Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, Shimbrell, your hair looks cute like that. Welcome.
All right, let's party. Okay.
Live from VentureX Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Out online. How about that? How cool is that? I'm twitching. Oh, is that a thing? Is that a thing? I'm twitching.
If you're on Twitch, it is, right?
Oh.
When does your gaming show start? In January?
We're going to do January, February. I got a lot going on.
Love it, love it, and love it. And it's going to be gaming for all ages.
Well, it's going to be oldies versus youngies.
And oldies versus newies. It is going to be multi-platforms too, like Nintendo Switch, Xbox. Are y'all going to talk ever about like iPad and iPhone games?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh,
yes.
then that's when you can have me on.
Okay.
Plants vs. Zombies expert here, 1 and 2.
And we could do that
and
too.
And nibblers, thanks. Okay.
Yeah, we could do that too.
And all the word and brain puzzles.
All right. Do we have Dr. Clothier yet this morning? Okay. We're waiting on Dr. Clothier to sign on with us.
We were sending him another link.
And we're going to talk COVID vaccine. If you see my head down, it's because I am sending and sharing the love with all the people who love JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Because we love you, the crew. We love you.
We love you, and it's crazy. Hoo-hoo.
Yeah, so Dr. Clothier will be talking about vaccine updates, information like that. We are also going to have our mental health moment, and we have one of the leaders from 22 Kill who will be on with us today. So real excited about that. Obviously, we wholeheartedly here at JP, Kathy, and the crew support military and our veterans. What else today? Pearl Harbor.
Binge watching.
Yeah, Pearl Harbor. It's it is December the 7th. Binge watching. What have you been binge watching? We want to know what the crew.
I have binge watched my life away.
We want to know. Netflix, Hulu, whatever your streaming services. What is it that you have binge watched during COVID? And what do you plan on binge watching, or what do you recommend to binge watch over the Christmas holidays? So very excited about that. And if we have chance, we're going to discuss over the next couple of weeks before we go on Christmas break, 12 Days of Christmas. It's not just a song.
Hey, Dr. Good's in Maybank, by the way.
Oh, hey.
She says good morning. Look at there. Look at that handsome gentleman.
Look at Dr. Clothier looking spiffy.
He is looking spiffy today. Oh, we need volume.
Yes, I have my
We're gonna open you up here on the microphone here, Dr. Clothier. This is for all mouth lip readers today. This show brought to you by Lip Readers of America. Oh, he just caused a panic amongst all lip readers. Well, Dr. Clothier, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Christmas holidays to you.
Can you hear me?
We
can hear you loud and clear, sir.
You froze on us there for a second. Will he unfreeze?
But thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, I do have, of course, the Santa tie on this morning.
Of course.
Love it. Yeah, he always has a great appropriate ties for whatever the season is.
So, Dr. Clothier, it's been interesting. A lot of things on social media going around. Now, the big question has become, when a COVID-19 vaccine becomes available, will you take it? And so,
yeah, it's it's funny because I get asked that by every person that comes in, and of course that's a big deal. I believe, I think my answer is probably about threefold. First of all, it's not out yet, so I think it's really impossible to answer that with authority because we don't have the science in hand, written research that we can read through and scrub through. I just want to see the details before I make a commitment. It's almost like buying a car that's proposed but not out on the market yet, or buying a house that hasn't, even have a plan put together yet. You just don't know. And so I think part of that is I'll need to wait and read the research. The second part is what I'll be binge watching this season is the research and reading. I'll be looking for all the research I can get a hold of, because I think it's a very important time in medicine to see whether, all the research adds up or not. We'll talk more about that here in just a second. And the third issue is really probably the fair answer for me is I'll have no choice. I think being in healthcare, I think it'll be assigned to me to get a shot. And that's okay. I get a flu shot every year because hospital systems and insurances require it, and I don't want to get the flu. So I believe in immunizations, and I think this should be a very safe option with 2 to 4 options coming. Apparently, I think we'll be reasonably fair in getting it. Now, whether it'll really be effective for the long term is the bigger question to me. It's not so much the safety. If you think about the research, and this is what I wanted to expound upon, is that first, medical scientists have no desire to come out with something bad. There's not a goal in mind to rush something and get it out there and spend the rest of your life in litigation about all the problems it's caused. So there is an extreme degree of motivation to have an excellent vaccine. And, believe it or not, the goal of medical scientists is to help people. So I think it's only fair to realize that their push is to prevent death and to prevent disease. And I think that's huge. The second factor to keep in mind is this really isn't something where, they weren't just beginning the research in the last couple of months or even this past year that the virus has been known. It's a truth for medical scientists that they sit around and think about things that you and I wouldn't ordinarily think about because they are research oriented. They don't sit around and say, boy, we don't have any plague going on this year, so let's take a year off. They've been researching various viruses and various mechanisms for years and years and years. And that has all kind of come together now for COVID-19 because of the structure of it and the physical nature of the virus, so that they were able to put the pieces together and work on this vaccine. It's not like they started from scratch knowing nothing about viruses and suddenly put this together. So this really is the culmination of years of research. And there have also another factor I think we should consider. There have been coronavirus vaccines for animals for a number of years, and they haven't been this novel coronavirus that never hit the human before, but they are similar in structure because they are coronaviruses. So I believe all things put together there, I think we're going to be okay when the vaccine comes out. Now, there are all kinds of weird little reports I'm hearing, like, you'll have a little bit of aching pain for a day or two. And I think that's not weird because I think that's expected. I think if you've had the shot against herpes zoster or shingles, it burns for a couple of days. You have some soreness, but it's so much better than getting shingles. To me, if I have a day or two of an arm soreness, that's a lot better than being on a ventilator and then, maybe spending 3 to 6 weeks on a ventilator and then months in rehab. I just find that to be a better balance of the equation.
So, Dr. Clothier, if I may, the big question I think that will come about is the same one and the same argument that people make in not getting the flu shot. If I take the flu shot, I get the flu. And so is there a concern? That question, I'm sure, is going to be asked by your patients to you. If I do the COVID-19 vaccine, am I going to get COVID-19?
So here's the reality. With the flu shot and with any proposed COVID-19 vaccine, and I will extrapolate to something we don't know about yet because it's not out yet. We haven't been able to read all that research. But the truth of it is that modern day vaccines are formulated against a particle in a virus to form immunity. So your body is ready to respond with an immune response if you get the actual virus. It does not give you the virus. So in other words, if you get the flu vaccine and you form some immunity against flu, then you're exposed to the flu. You can get, a couple of days of mild symptoms. It's nothing compared to the influenza without the immunization. Plus, half the people or more that I see that tell me they got the flu from the flu vaccine, it's 2 months later, they have a sinus infection. And they'll, wag their finger at me and say, oh, I told you I'd get the flu if you gave me that flu vaccine. And they don't have the flu. So a large part of that is a misunderstanding of what true influenza is. People do not realize how devastating it is until they have it. And if you have an immune response ready to go, and I would dare say nobody has an immune response ready to go within seconds. But if you can mount an immune response within 1 or 2 days, then you're far better off than having 3 or 4 weeks of influenza. What I believe will happen with COVID-19 vaccines, and it appears that at least one is geared toward messenger RNA, which is kind of like the way the virus gets into the cells of the body and begins to cause illness, then you won't get the flu from a protein. You won't get COVID-19 from a protein that is placed into the body to attack against an intruder if that intruder comes. Now, that intruder may still get you for a day or two, but if you can mount an immune response and recover within a couple of days, again, that's a lot better than being sick for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, life. We all know.
Right.
So, it's with modern science, you are not getting any form of anything contagious or stimulating of infection. I might say it's kind of like if you have a bacterial infection and you take an antibiotic, you may still be sick for 2 or 3 or 4 days while the antibiotic kicks in, but the antibiotic is not giving you bacteria.
So, Dr. Clothier, one of the questions from Dr. Good is, the flu vaccine lasts 3 to 6 months. How do we know how long the COVID vaccine will last? Has anything come out on that?
Oh,
no, that's part of the research I'm waiting for. I want to see what the results are of some of the studies. All of that is really proprietary until there's actual FDA approval. So we need to see what the research is when it comes out. The rumor, if you want to follow the media rumors, is that at least one of the vaccines believes there will be immunity for years. Here's the problem is the vaccine's not out yet, and the virus has only been known for a year and a week. And so I don't think we can really extrapolate that, but the science behind it would make sense. So if the science is that you can block the messenger RNA of the virus coming into the body, then that should be a years-long immunity.
Right.
And the flu shot actually lasts about 11 or 12 months. It's now nearly a year-round
I was going to say,
it used to be 36.
Right. Now the flu shot, you have to get that every single fall. And I know you've only got a couple of minutes left. One question, is it too late to get the flu shot? And then the other question is, and again, I know it's speculation, but is there a possibility that you get the coronavirus vaccine and you think, okay, I'm okay for 3 years, but hey, then maybe we have a whole nother wave of people who receive the vaccine and a year later they get the virus?
Yes, I think the answer on number one is it is not too late to get the flu virus. The only time, the flu vaccine, influenza vaccine.
Yes.
The only time it's too late, you can get it if you're alive. By the way, you can get the virus, but you can also get the shot if you're still alive. So if you're still alive, it's still time.
Big wins on both fronts. Yes. Big wins on both fronts.
Yeah. Yes, and we're in favor of that. In fact, we only actually give it to living people. So, and then the second thing is, I think, I'm just trying to be compassionate here. The second thing is that if you have any immunization come out, you need to realize that there may be a future booster or a future waning of the immunity because time goes by and we learn more. The nice thing about medical science, too, is we don't invent something or discover something and then quit. And so you may recall, for instance, that there was a prior shingles shot called Zostavax that came out about 10 years ago. And now there is a new one, Shingrix, which seems to be better in its immune response, higher percentage of people that won't get shingles or get a lesser case of it, for instance. And so that's been adaptation. Similarly, there's a shot against pneumonia, pneumococcal pneumonia, that came out many years ago. And over time, when it first came out, it was a one-time shot. And, everybody thought, oh, this one shot, they'll last. And, time shows the immunity wanes. And so now there are boosters, or there's a series of the shots. And the other big one is, if you've been at the point of being around a baby, it's recommended that you get a Tdap, because you need acellular pertussis for whooping cough prevention. Yep. Because in the past, we felt like even having the disease would give you lifelong immunity, and that has been shown to wane. And so now the shot is given if you're going to be around a newborn baby, to protect the baby, because it can be fatal to the baby to get pertussis. To the older individual, it's extremely annoying and bothersome, but it's not tending to be a fatality. So there are boosters that come up over time. Not to simplify it too much, but I would suggest that if you buy a car, you're probably going to have repairs in the future. And, I think it's just one of those things we have to realize. You may get a 3-year warranty, and you may think, oh, this is going to be great. And then somewhere down the road, you have some repairs there involved too.
That's
and
a good analogy.
You kind of have to keep a watch and update when necessary.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Clothier. Fantastic. Well, he's got a hard stop at 7:50.
Oh, it's 7:50.
Yeah, I'm going to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got his real job. He's got his real job today.
I have an early duty today. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Well, thank you so much, and we'll have more questions Monday.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But I have one more thought, and that is, keep in mind that no immunization company, no governmental entity, no medical scientist wants to put out a problematic product and spend literally the rest of perceivable time trying to defend that they got that product out there. I think competition is a healthy thing. I think research is a very tried, true, trusted thing, and should be. And I think that it's amazing how much work has gone into the idea of an immunization. And if we truly are there, if it gets approved here in the next few days and starts getting distributed, I find that to be nearly a medical miracle. And I think honoring that system is fair. I think the run-of-the-mill person, including the run-of-the-mill doctor, does not know more about immunity buildup and an immune response than what the medical scientists know working on this. So I would encourage you, trust the medical scientists more than you trust your neighbor, even if your neighbor has a social media presence.
So don't go to Facebook for your decision about the vaccine. Hang with Dr. Clothier for that.
In a nutshell.
Well, or you can go to Twitter.
Oh, no, I think he's kind of saying all social
Dr. Clothier,
media.
have a blessed day. Take good care of your patients.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right. So,
all right. Take care. Bye.
You too.
79 years ago, something very, very important happened.
Ooh.
Very, very important happened. It's interesting. In school, I did a report. I read a book, A Day in Infamy, and did a report on it. And, of course, that is the day that the Japanese unleashed all kinds of hell on our men and women in our military services in Pearl Harbor. Yeah. And so I know in our email there is some pictures that Kathy, you went and found, and
I found some shots I had not seen before that were actually of the attack and the aftermath, and what made me think to do that is and I'll probably do this again. What I've been on Facebook a total of 4 years now, and I've always posted something about. Just remember Pearl Harbor, a lot like, remember 9/11. These were, people attacked on American soil, and that's different than any other war. Now, the difference between 9/11 and between Pearl Harbor is Pearl Harbor, it was military that was attacked. Not that makes it okay, but different than civilians who had gone to war.
And here are the pictures.
Some of these pictures. And what motivated me to look for some different pictures was Kilroy's conversation.
Right.
Chuck Wright and Andrew White, which you can still see there, they did a big tribute in honor of, in remembrance of Pearl Harbor. Thank you. On their show Saturday, you can still catch that on social media. And they had this one picture in particular that really just struck me because it was an overview that I'd never seen before. And so I went back and saw these, and I'm so glad we were able to get these up. So thank you, JP and Shamriel, for that. Just the devastation of Pearl Harbor and that attack. Again, this is something that as Americans, as we get past, and we have people who, again, this is 79 years later. We've got a whole group of kids who they're like 9/11. What? Huh? Well, my goodness, then they're for sure like Pearl Harbor. What? Huh? And I think as Americans, and I think as parents, and I think as educators, and as people who love this country, love our military, I think that we can't ever let Pearl Harbor Day go without talking about that, especially with that younger generation.
Oh, I agree. Well, and there's just not very many left that have survived the USS Arizona.
Is there? I think
USS Arizona. There's 4.
There are 4 left.
There are 4 left. So I want to say hello to Tio Loco, who's just joined us. Good morning, Tio. Also say good morning to our Uncle Monty, who's joined us from Fresno, California.
Good morning.
So here's the deal, right? You can't let them forget the USS Arizona. That will bring it all back, right? And, of course, what triggered the whole thing was the mini submarine that, by accident, we hit. Yeah. If that hadn't happened, then who knows the damage that could have been caused. Because, as you learned on Kilroy's Conversation, the USS Nevada was able to get out and take down some planes, and so and
it was not as devastating. And at that point you wonder, well, would civilians? I mean, would Hawaii look different today?
Right.
Just all of those things, come into play.
And so, A Day of Infamy, the book I recommend would be Walter Lord. You can get that book just about anywhere and at thrift stores as well. It's a great read and tells you all about that day and leading up to that day. Something you can read to your children even as you're going along, or ebooks. But the big thing is not to forget. It's like 9/11. We don't want to forget, because when we forget and when we change our own history by eliminating it, which we have gotten, it seems to be in the habit of doing here lately.
You are correct, sir.
We forget, and then it can come back around and get us again.
You're doomed to repeat the same mistakes and have the same things. You're doomed to be a sitting duck. You're doomed to possibly have similar things happen again. And the last thing we want, and one of the reasons we're always so big, and JP and I have always talked about, just huge supporters of our military, and that is because they protect us. They're the ones that we come here to, Venture X here in Frisco.
And again, great pictures. Kathy found great pictures. This is where it could impact civilians, because civilians were working on military bases,
and right around
and helping out and volunteering.
Right around the peripheral of that.
And remember the channel. By any chance, did you get a map picture like they did?
No, I didn't grab a map.
Okay.
I didn't grab one.
But if you can remember how Pearl looks, there's a channel.
Right.
And you can get log jammed into that channel. And so it was very narrow, and you had houses on one side of the channel.
Homes,
right on the water. They're watching the Japanese planes fly in to Pearl.
Right.
To drop the bombs. And so, and again, here's my thing. If you see somebody out there that is in the military, go up and thank them for their service.
Here we go. Here's
Here's a map. So this is the map, in fact, that
Chuck and Andrew used.
You really can't see. So that's Pearl. And when you come down, you'll see, and you won't show on this map, but it channels. And so everybody is stuck in here. And so it's devastating. And the battle was devastating, but it did draw us into World War II for sure.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was a good morning hello.
Oh, it was all right. Well,
yeah, Hitler was not all happy about that.
Let's rock and roll. Well, and again, so this did, you look at everything, anything like this changes the course of history, period, end of sentence. So we just want to make sure as you go about your day, and especially if you do have younger kids or even teenage kids or kids that are young adults, just remind them of the loss on American soil. And again, we harp on during this day, during the remembrance of Pearl Harbor and during the remembrance of on 9/11. it happened on American soil. And again, like I was saying earlier, we support our military wholeheartedly because they're the reason that we're able to come into this studio. We don't worry. We don't get out of our car. And it takes me 9 minutes to get out of my car with all the stuff I bring in. So, okay, I don't have to worry about somebody bombing the parking lot or the building. We can go to parks. We can go out and see Santa.
Look at how devastating that is.
Oh,
I mean, this is something else. So
just remember, we don't want an attack ever again of military or civilians ever on American soil. That's one of the unique things about America is that we're able to protect our own homeland.
Fred Nort pipes in and he says 9/11 was our modern day Pearl Harbor.
Yes.
Then he also goes on to say that, thankfully our carriers were out on maneuvers when it happened. And Michelle, one of the members of the crew, also says that she's been to the memorial. And Fred then came out and said also that it's crazy that the oil still comes up. And so, again, that book is Day of Infamy by Walter Lord. A great read. Highly recommend that you read that. Go up to a veteran, say hello, and thank them for their service. Thank them for their sacrifice for our country, for us. And so, and it allows us to talk about things like binge watching and having fun.
Well, yeah. I mean, and here's the thing: we owe so much to our veterans who have served. Oh, thank you so much.
Show.
Good job, Bree. We owe so much to our veterans who have served. And we owe so much to those who are currently serving and those who are stepping up to serve. Again, I think sometimes we just walk around, and that's why I keep harping on let's make sure the youth of this country understand about Pearl Harbor and 9/11, because we can take our freedom for granted. There are other countries where, my goodness, to go out and even go and get food for your family, you take your life into your own hands.
Right.
That's not the case here. We bebop around. We go to church. We go to the grocery store. We go hang out with our friends. Go walk your dog outside, and we don't have to worry about somebody attacking us.
That's right.
That's something unique to our country, and let's keep that. Let's be appreciative of that.
Fred Nord helps us round this out with, it was Hitler's downfall. Had Japan not awoken the sleeping giant, he may have took over Europe. Although if Hitler hadn't declared war on us after we did on Japan, we may have just went and kicked Japan's butt only. Now, I think we were sucked in by that time. I think once Pearl Harbor hit, we were all in, and we weren't going to allow any of that to go on any further. So, and we're going to be
that was a call to action at that point.
We're going to be continuing that conversation, but in today. On the Mental Health Moment at 8:30. That's brought to us by Acadia Healthcare.
Yes, and please tune in at 8:30.
Tune in at 8:30 for
really,
sure.
Really important topic.
And get your friends out there to tune in with you as well on the on what we're going to be talking about at 8:30 with the Mental Health Moment with Patty and Steve. So, all right. So, Kathy.
JP.
Binge watching during the holiday season. And I mean, look at California. California is about to have 85% of its population on lockdown. Definitely
serious lockdown too.
Want to get Latham back in here.
Latham, yeah.
Well, see, you
Latham.
Say, well, but you put Latham in the Doodaddy McJagger.
No, Latham.
Well, go back and look at the description.
No,
because
it highlights it on mine.
I know, but it has an M on the description.
Not on mine.
And I didn't do the description.
I didn't type it in.
Hey, get your gloves out. Let's go boxing right here in the middle.
Well, as a matter of fact, we could
heavyweight versus lightweight.
We could probably have Lathan back either Wednesday or the following Wednesday.
Well, we need to talk about the fact that they're going to close California through Christmas. Because
guess what that means?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I want to get him back on, because he's going to talk about the churches not being able to do services, but we're going to allow to-go orders to go out the door, and we're going to allow gun ranges or places to work out at 50%.
What are the places where...
it's ridiculous.
Because you've got family in California,
I do.
And they're impacted by this, correct?
They are.
They're in part of that 85%.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. So 85% of Californians are going to be home through the season, not being able to go out. So they're going to be binge watching. What are you going to be binge watching, or what have you binge watched so far?
Well, and binge worthy.
Not Bold and the Beautiful.
No. Oh, that's non-COVID.
Oh, okay.
That's non-COVID, COVID all the time. That's
Oh,
zombie
good.
apocalypse.
Very
That's
good.
as long as they're filming that show. But this is something, it's interesting. Binge-worthy and binge watching really became a big thing during COVID. Now, not that other people haven't, gone and binge watched shows like Breaking Bad or Mad Men or shows like that over the year, because your friend says, okay, you've got to watch this, and there's like the whole season is out, and so you go on a Saturday or Sunday and just watch it like a crazy person. But this has become a big thing. And you know what, JP, and we talked about this show, and I don't think you ever watched it, but one of the things that really put the word binge-worthy on the map was the show right at the very beginning, and Netflix was genius to put this out right at the very beginning of COVID, while everybody was having to shelter in place, and like the only place you could go unless you were an essential worker was to the grocery store. And that is the Tiger King. Does anybody remember the Tiger King?
Oh yeah, I watched a few. I couldn't do it.
I was sucked in the whole time. Of course I was. So the Tiger King was kind of the thing that everybody's like, okay, I'm binge watching the Tiger King or binge worthy or all this kind of stuff. Well, then you go back and there are other shows that people have become very popular during this time of COVID. And as we come up, and there are going to be folks who have some time off of work over the Christmas holidays. You may have a few days here, there, and yonder where you can sit there and you can watch a show. There are also places, like you said, in California where they're going to be back down on lockdown pretty much. So kind of one of the only things to do if you can't get out of your house is to entertain yourself and pass the hours with the binge watching. So what are shows, and I would love to know what the crew has been binge watching, and what do you recommend? If somebody came up to you and said, what are the top 3 things? So I want to know what the crew is binge watching and what they recommend.
So I went crazy.
Yes.
I've gone crazy.
Did you binge watch?
I've been binge watching.
What have you been binge watching?
Oh, my Lord. Holy cow. I've been binge watching a ton.
Okay, that's the funniest image. Oh, you got to put that up on the whole screen.
That would be me.
That is me and my husband when we get hooked on something.
So
and we're ridiculous.
I binge watched The Order. Have you heard of The Order?
No.
Way good.
I don't think so. What's
Highly
it about?
recommend.
What's it about?
So it is a college town with werewolves and witches. And the werewolves keep the witches in line to not do bad magic. And
What's this on? Is it Netflix? Netflix, okay.
All kinds of way cool. It was very fun to watch. Very fun.
And that's interesting. That's different between like werewolves. It's usually werewolves versus vampires.
Yeah, no, this is...
You know what I'm saying? Well, it shows like that. Yeah.
In fact, they say they're the Order of St. Christopher. So it's very interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, very cool stuff to watch.
I can't believe,
so I binge watched that to the end.
Okay.
I'm binge watching the October Faction right now.
What is that?
Oh, way good as well.
What's that
So
on?
it's monsters versus this private entity army, covert black ops group against the humans.
Ooh.
And we're finding out that old Presidio is not the good guy, and that the monsters have formed an alliance with each other. And there's all kinds of cool ones. I mean, they've got the warlocks right now.
Oh, I love it.
And it's way cool. So let's see.
Too funny.
So
That's
you've
funny.
got that.
I haven't heard of either one of those.
Yeah, and so you've got
that's
that
Netflix?
one.
Yeah, that's Netflix.
Yeah, there you go. October Faction. Good stuff,
and I wonder,
Maynard.
and are these shows that have been out for a while, or
remember, I didn't watch TV until pandemic time. Remember, I didn't turn
like
on
a
a
first
television.
grader.
Yeah, I don't know. But so Coach Quigley says Murdoch Mysteries, really, really good out of Canada. I'm binge watching I call it the Designated Driver, but it's a Designated Survivor.
And that's the one with the guy from 24.
Yes,
I can't believe
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
And he's Mr. President.
You said that's really good.
I've really enjoyed it.
It's like all of the president, the vice president, the speaker, everybody's taken out except for like one random secretary who's like lower down the totem
Urban
pole.
Housing and Urban Development.
There you go.
Yeah, HUD.
Yep.
And and on purpose. And so, of course, he's raising against all the odds, and he's an independent. He's not Democrat. He's not Republican, and he's going to bring everybody together. A lot of kumbaya going on. But
we could use some kumbaya right now.
Oh yeah, that's the truth.
And that show's from a few years back. That was even before President Trump got in office, I think.
Yes, and so
wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Now, of course, I watched I didn't watch all of them, but I watched also my other shows that were the Renaissance time frame.
Right.
And so those I've all watched to the end. I don't remember what what their names are, but anyways. That's what I'm binge watching.
There you go. So those are some recommendations
I
from
recommend
you.
They're fun.
As far as binge watching.
Oh.
Yes.
And the Christmas Classic Season 2 thing with...
the Christmas Chronicles.
Yeah, Christmas
Chronicles.
Chronicles.
We have not watched that yet. Is it good? And I think Goldie Hawn's in that too.
Yes. Well, and so is Kurt Russell.
Right. But I mean, this time she's in it with him, and
they're way good.
They're cute together. Okay.
Yeah, way good. Love that. Yeah, good.
Okay,
feel
and
good.
We're getting Bree, who's part of the younger crowd, a younger member of the crew. She's nodding her head yes.
So Steve says the first 2 years of Designated Survivor was good. The last year, meh.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm not through with year 2 yet. So.
Okay, you're in season 2. Okay.
Yes, I'm in season 2 right now.
So I would have to go. So do you have any others to recommend right now?
Those are my
and we might have some other recommendations before we sign off for the Christmas holidays.
Oh, sure.
But okay, so I'm going to have to go with right now. If you are not watching The Mandalorian,
I'm watching that too.
I knew you were.
I watched 2 seasons last night, or 2 chapters.
Okay, if you're not watching The Mandalorian, oh my goodness, it is worth the cost of Disney Plus. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
To get this one show. This show is single-handedly saving Star Wars from itself. Now, the first trilogy, the first 3 aside that came out originally back in the 70s, the prequels, and then there's also some debate on the sequels as far as Star Wars and where they went. This show, The Mandalorian, is phenomenal. It's movie good. It is, and I don't know how they did. Obviously, everybody knows Baby Yoda, and he's this cute little thing, and I am obsessed.
Yeah, but he was eating the frog's eggs.
I know.
I mean, come
on.
Now,
don't be mad like PETA was. PETA lost their mind.
Oh, yeah, I'm not losing my mind. But I'm thinking, Baby Yoda, quit eating the eggs.
But he's so cute. But you know what? I mean, he's a creature. So
he's a creature. I liked when he ate the spider.
So, oh yeah. So that led to a whole bunch of trouble. So here's the thing with Baby Yoda, it's so funny because you would think, okay, that's going down like a Jar Jar Binks trail, but it doesn't. For some reason, Baby Yoda, that character, the Mandalorian, which it's so funny. My husband, I was like, so you want a Mandalorian T-shirt for Christmas? And he's like, no, I want the Mandalorian armor. And so, I mean, we're obsessed with this show. We literally love this show. I cannot, if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're a new Star Wars fan, if you're back from the 70s in the day when you had to wait in your lawn chair in line for 4 hours to see The Empire Strikes Back, this is so worth it. There are fanboy cheer moments during The Mandalorian. They have done so much for Star Wars characters. So anyway, Mandalorian. Love it, love it, love it, love it, and love it. Peaky Blinders. Cannot recommend this. This is actually based on a true story about a gang, and I can give you this much because it's right in the first episode. You're going to find this out. They have these really cool hats. I've got one of them. My husband bought me one, and he bought himself one. And they're these cool little, old timey, like newspaper, news here. Get your newspaper, like the paper boys back in the day who'd stand on the street corners. It's that kind of a hat. Newsies, yes. It's that kind of a hat. So it's called Peaky Blinders, and this legitimately is after a gang back in the day in the over in England, because what they would do is they would put razor blades in the bill of this hat, and when folks came to fight them or steal from them, or they went to steal from somebody else, or whatever the case may be, they would take off their hat, bunch it up, and use that as a weapon, and they would either cut through the eyes of their enemy or cut right above on their forehead so blood would go into their eyes and they wouldn't be able to see to fight. Now, I know you're like, okay, Kathy, that sounds horrific and, violent. Trust me, the show just works. It is a phenomenal show of this whole family and, kind of how they evolve as a crime family. And it is, edge of your seat suspenseful. We can't wait for the next season, and we're wondering, did they already film the next season of Peaky Blinders? Because we ended up binge watching it like three or 4 weekends in a row to catch up with all of the seasons.
Okay, so is it like
phenomenal.
The Sopranos?
Oh, I never watched that.
Oh, way good.
Yeah, I never watched The Sopranos. It's a crime family, but it's got a different feel to it. It's all about women coming into their own and the different political parties and how America and the development of America impacted other countries. Just a fascinating show from a historical reference, but from a storytelling, and the acting in this is superb. You will literally be cheering when people die, screaming when people die. It's just so good. So anyways, Peaky Blinders, highly recommend that. And there's several others that I'll mention over the next couple of weeks, because obviously I talk way too long about every show I watch. Okay, this is, yeah, no doubt.
You said it.
And this is interesting because Coach Quigley just said, and I do want to say to Squiggy, that was David Landers, I believe was his name.
That's his name.
Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley, from our people our age, loved Laverne and Shirley, and Lenny and Squiggy, just two really, Squiggy, the gentleman who played Squiggy, was a great actor. Saw him actually, and so may he rest in peace, because he brought us tons of entertainment, especially, he was one of my favorite characters on Laverne and Shirley, which was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. But he actually had a cameo, as did Penny Marshall, as did John Ritter, may he rest in peace, as did Henry Winkler, on a show that my husband and I are binge watching. I had watched it as a kid, but appreciate it so much more as an adult. My husband had never watched it, and this is crazy. The Bob Newhart Show from the 70s, from the early 70s, with Suzanne Plachette. He's a psychologist. He does a lot of group therapy work. Great show. If you just want some good, clean fun, there's some edgy humor in there. Some of it today would be OMG, everybody would be up in arms. Some of it's just going to roll right past you if you're a little bit younger. But so we are currently watching, we're on like season 4 out of 5 of the Bob Newhart Show.
Well, there you go.
So the crew, another one binge worthy.
The crew has jumped in.
Oh yes, what do they say?
So very, very good. So a lot of recommendations. Sherlock on Netflix. Benedict Cumberbatch as Holmes. It is really good. The ABC Murders on Amazon Prime with John Malkovich. Umbrella Academy, which is going to be the next thing I'm watching, by the way. Queen's Gambit on Netflix. So I've seen that, but I haven't watched it yet.
I've got several girlfriends who are watching it and said it's phenomenal.
And I'm with
that
Fred.
may be one we watch after a while.
I'm with Fred. I wish they would bring out the 3rd season of Jack Ryan as well, because I've watched all the Jack Ryan. I guess that's another one I've watched, is all the Jack Ryan. The other one is there's this one about this angel and a devil, not a devil, a demon. And it's like angel versus demon or something, and it's set in London. And it's awesome. It's on Amazon Prime, but they haven't come out with the new season of it, and it's hilarious. It's like the two of them have gotten together to do good things, and the angel's convinced the demon. So like the angel can't do certain things because God finds out,
right?
And they don't want him mingling because Gabriel's kind of wanting to still go to war with hell. No. And it's a comedy, and so the demon will do it for him, and then the demon's like, "Oh, that hurt, but I did something good."
But so it's a comedy,
and it's hilarious. So, but I can't remember what that one is. It's like Angel and Demon or something like that. But it's pretty funny. And what's funny is they ended the last one where the angel and the demon switched bodies because they knew they were going to try to kill the
Spoiler
demon,
alert.
right? Yeah. And so they knew they were going to try to kill the demon. So the angel switched bodies with him, went down there, and they brought holy water that Gabriel brought down because they found out that they were working together to try to cause the war. And so when they poured the holy water, and you have all the demons behind the glass watching this trial that's not really a trial, they pour the holy water in, and he starts drinking it out of his hand like, la, la, la. And they're like, oh. They all freak out. So he gets out of the tub, and he's like, okay, are we done with this now? You can see I'm immune to all of you people. I'm done with you. Leave me alone. I'm going back to the surface. And he walks out the door, and everybody's like, oh, my gosh. So it was pretty
because
funny.
It was really the angel.
Yes. And
exactly.
They didn't
so the
know.
holy water's all good when you're an angel.
Lucifer, but Steve Dunn says he likes Lucifer. Tommy Quigley, Coach Quigley, Ripper Street, and filmed in double. Oh, Good Omens. That's what it's called. Yes. And it is greatness. Steve's like, it's greatness. It is.
Michelle and Michelle said Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, that's my next thing to watch.
Okay, and I haven't heard of that one either. Wow.
Yeah, that one looks like it's pretty darn good.
Okay,
and
Fred Nort said he said that his wife couldn't stand. She's a big Star Wars fan. Hated the 8th movie overall. I'm going to say my husband felt the same way. And the more days he went away from having seen that movie, the more he ripped it to shreds. Yeah, we did see the final. I love the final. As the longer it goes past the final, he tends to rip that one to shreds. So The Mandalorian has been like the best thing that happened to, and my husband, as much of a fan as I am, I'm going to admit this in public, as much as a Star Wars geek and fan as I am, and boy, I am, had the Star Wars cards, the action figures, all that stuff. My husband is 10 times the fanboy that I will ever be when it comes to Star Wars, and he literally pumps his fist in the air, claps, yes, fanboys unite, every 2 or 3 times every episode. That's how good it is.
Well, and I love it. I love Star Wars, always have, but yeah, I don't go crazy like that. But I love it though.
Well, this is fun. And and keep recommending shows because, I mean, if you haven't seen Mad Men, oh my goodness, go back and see Mad Men. I'm going to go back and say, if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, and I didn't want to see Breaking Bad at first because I was like, no, this is all about like, drugs and all that kind of thing. And I just didn't want to see that world. It is one of the best shows that was ever out there as far as storytelling, the cast, the direction, just the lack of humanity when it comes to drug trafficking. It does not glorify drug use or drug selling and trafficking at all. Makes you want to stay as far away from it as you can. So that's another good, an old one, but a good one. Some really good ones out there. Then there's also some that I think have been released during COVID because they can't do the next season of the great show that everybody loves. It's a really good show, an award-winning show. So I think you're getting a lot of the B levels because there's a couple we've started and we're like,
oh, I know what else I binge watched. The Karate Kid or whatever it's called.
Oh my gosh, how did I not mention that?
Yeah. Is it the
Cobra Kai?
Cobra Kai, that's it. There you go.
January 8th, the new episode of Cobra Kai is coming out, and I literally am marking the days down on our bathroom calendar. My husband puts his weight. I'm like doing a slash going, Cobra Kai comes January 8th. We're one day closer. And I think to really appreciate it, you probably have to have watch the original.
You absolutely do.
Like people our age, we're digging it like nobody's business. They're bringing back the music, the vibe back from in the day when we saw Karate Kid, and it's the original. It's the 2 main original actors. It's the it's all of
them.
The bad guy,
the coach.
Well, yeah, and they do a really nice. It's a very nice tribute to Mr. Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then you know who I think they're going to bring back?
Who?
Elizabeth Shue.
Oh, I'm sure she'll be
because, remember he accidentally Facebooked Messenger her.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. She'll be back.
That is a good show.
So we've
That's
got
a
coming
really
up
good
at
show.
8:30.
I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Yes,
I would have been mad at myself.
I know, the CEO of 22 Kill.
Yes.
With the mental health moment with Patty and Steve. So we are about 7 minutes away on that. Brought to you by Acadia Healthcare. For all your healthcare needs, mental health, substance abuse, reach out and ask for help this season and during the pandemic. Chris Getz will be your personal concierge.
Yes.
Very private conversation with her. Again,
you can completely trust this
Healthcare.
woman. She will get you. If she doesn't, she will find the resources you need. And we really just want to encourage people, especially, and I noticed Gail Meeks had put something out on her personal Facebook page, and Gail Meeks of Money Links. Her and her husband Steve, who have a great show every Thursday on our network. What happens if you have family who are afraid to get together or can't because of illness? What activities do you suggest? And so there's a lot of people that, even though there were some good suggestions going around out there and people are talking about it, it's still depressing to think, hey, things are going to be different. And if you can't get together with extended family or you're going to be by yourself or hey, if you don't have and JP, I know you and I and the crew will step in on this. If you aren't going to, if you don't have a way to get out and get a meal for Christmas, please message
us
us, and we will make sure that either myself or JP or one of our family members or a member of the crew, that somebody gets a meal to you on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So please let us know. And also, and if you are feeling down, there's just you're not alone, and you're not. I've got another family member who just in the last few weeks has had to get on an antidepressant, and literally it stems from COVID. It stems from such a stark difference in life before and life after. I've said that, and I'll say this publicly. And JP, you and I have talked about this, and I'm very open about this. If I didn't have this show, if I didn't have my JP, Kathy, and the crew family to be part of, and if we wouldn't have been considered essential workers back when we were still on the radio, when you're in the media, you're fortunately considered an essential worker, which everybody's essential, by the way. Hello.
Right.
Every worker, every school kid, everybody's essential. So just saying, if I didn't have this outlet, my head was going to a real bad place. And when I had to self-quarantine for those 3 weeks when I was sick and didn't have COVID, but I was exposed to it, had a real struggle with it. I could just feel that dark, deep depression kicking in, and don't suffer. Don't suffer.
Right.
And if you reach out to either JP or
Can you put
privately,
the Acadia number back on there, please?
If you reach out to us privately, we're a vault. We
Absolutely.
will not. This is nobody else's business, but we don't want people to suffer.
We do not. We do not. Well, and talking about the holiday season, Kathy sent something to me last night. I think it's a great idea. The 12 Days of Christmas. Of course, that starts December 25th and goes through January the 6th, because the 12 days, we forget that the 12 Days of Christmas actually take place between Christ's birth and the
Epiphany.
Right.
The Epiphany, when the three wise men came to see
So we're in
Jesus.
the Advent right now.
Yes.
The 3-4 weeks leading up is the Advent.
Yeah, and it's January 5th, actually.
Well, it says January the 6th
and
online.
I think it depends. Yeah, there's...
Because I looked up when the 12 Days of Christmas was this year.
Yeah, and this one says January 5th. I've always thought it was January 6th, but this one says January 6th.
Well, the other one I had says the 6th. So
well, it's 12 days. It starts, you're right, it starts on the birth of Christ, and then it goes through day 12, which is the Epiphany.
Yeah, so be looking for us to start covering and talking about those 12 days of Christmas. In the meantime, while we're preparing that for you to produce it, I do want to, charity again is my word. And that is something that I have said on the show. It was something I said during the Veterans Telethon.
It's something we preach all the time on this show.
And especially during the holiday season, it's a big deal.
Yep.
And so I want to share a story that may help ignite some kindness and some charity. There was a mom that was battling cancer. She was going to school in Idaho to get her teaching degree. She had 4 children and no insurance. And she was having to take off from school, a 30-year-old woman, and she was going to have to take off from school for 6 months for chemotherapy. And word got out, and her friends became concerned, and so they reached out to a group called the Praysters. Praysters.
Instead of like the pranksters, the Praysters.
Right. And they are known for staging random acts of kindness. And they stepped in with a plan. They took Amanda and her husband, Clint, to a coffee shop, ostensibly to help them film a GoFundMe video. And as the camera rolled, nearly 200 children and adults flooded the coffee shop, all piling cash on the table as Amanda and her husband fought back tears. I mean, I have goosebumps. I'm fighting back tears.
You just choked me up. I love that.
Amanda received more than $13,000 that day, and her GoFundMe has more than doubled its goal amount thus far. And so, again, it's the holiday season. We should be charitable all year. I know that here at JP, Kathy, and the crew, we are charitable.
We are, absolutely.
But sometimes there's even more of a need, especially during the pandemic.
Couldn't agree more.
Right now, especially with the government trying to shut everything down again.
And tell you what to do and what you can do and what you can't do and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And so I just wanted to share that as we get ready to bring the mental health moment on.
I love that.
With the CEO from Kills 22.
22 Kill.
Or 22 Kills, I'm sorry. To talk about the fact that, hey, this is what's going on this season. And mental health, today's Pearl Harbor Day.
Yeah.
And again, that's brought to you by Acadia Healthcare. Please feel free to reach out to Chris Getz. Chris Getz is your own personal concierge when it comes to working with. When coming to working with patients or with your substance abuse issue or mental health issue, it stays private. She is also a licensed professional counselor.
Yes.
So if you call her, she is professionally trained to talk with you about what's going on. We're going to flash the phone number on here in just a second.
Yeah.
And so you can reach out to Chris if you need to this season.
Please don't hesitate. If you've got, again, the needs are not too great or too, people, if you feel suicidal, pick up the phone immediately.
Right. Get
help. And if you don't know where to go, we can help get you to Chris at Acadia so she can help get you to the right person and she'll take your call immediately. But
Acadia,
just if you kind of feel like you're feeling the blues or like you just don't feel right or you're thinking, hey, Christmas Eve isn't going to be the same. I don't get to do the church services I usually do. Or I'm not going to be able to see my family from out of state. And, I'm kind of over Zoom because that's how we've, gotten together all these times, through work and all this stuff lately. Even if you just feel like you just don't feel right and you want somebody to talk to, please, please, please reach out to us. Please. I mean, nobody should, there should be no one suffering right now at this time. And if you're having trouble paying bills, if you're having trouble, if you need, need access to something like Toys for Tots, which on December 11th, and we'll be talking about this more here this Friday up here at Venture X, we're going to be doing an event with the Venture X folks with Toys for Tots. So we can hook you up with a charity that can help you.
We can, and really the focus is what Venture X is doing.
Right.
Because Venture X is charitable. They were extremely charitable for Veterans Day. And on December the 11th, really looking for the possible clientele that wants to get out of the house during the pandemic, have some office space, have some support staff without having to pay an HR director, having a desk and chair provider where you're not having to bring all your furniture up here, internet provided, mail. I mean, you name it. They have
camaraderie, professionalism.
I mean, my father's going to get an office up here.
Yeah. Well, we just had another member of the crew who rented up here just last month. Just great opportunities and again.
And we do need you to RSVP, by the way.
Oh, yes, we do, because we're expecting a full house, so it'll be a blast. You don't have to be alone, and even if you've got a job with a company and you can come up here and just have desk space once a week. My husband's even talking with his company, which is a big insurance company, and saying, hey, you know what? Once a week, can I just go hang out there in their common area?
So go to Frisco, Texas. .venturex.com. That's Frisco, Texas, or TX, pardon me, .venturex.com for more information, or go to their Facebook page as well. And go like their Facebook page and let them know that you are appreciative of what they do and how charitable they are here in the community. All right. So do we have a Zoom caller coming in this morning, Patty? All right, let's get your microphone hot. We got to get her microphone hot.
Get her microphone a little bit louder.
Because Patty's hot, so we got to get her microphone hot.
There you go.
Hello.
There, she's hot now.
Excellent.
All right, and
good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Super excited
Merry Christmas
about the mental health moment today. How extremely timely, Patty.
And can we turn on her headset?
The 22 Kills CEO coming on today.
Actually, Tempa is the COO.
Oh, COO, pardon me.
That's okay. That's quite okay. I am so excited to have
and
Tempa
here she
on.
comes.
There
Look
she
at
is.
her. There
Good
she
morning,
is.
Tempa.
Good morning.
Oh, we got to get her volume on.
Got to get volume.
Hang on. Tempa, say something. See if we can hear you yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, there you go.
There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tempa. I knew that JP, Kathy, and the crew would be so very excited
yes.
for you to come in today.
I should have worn my ring.
Out of control excited.
Yeah, I have been telling Tempa that she has some major fans over here.
Oh, big time. We
And
talk
JP,
about 22
Kathy, and the
Kill
crew.
all the time, and we have for years. As a matter of fact, I can't. Now I feel naked without my trigger ring finger with my black band on it. So, yeah.
Well,
great organization.
You know how. Go ahead, Tempa. I'm sorry.
Do you have your camera on so I can see your faces?
Well, we don't have a two-way camera.
Yeah, we've got a big fancy new thing. Yeah, you can see Chambrielle.
If she turns a camera on.
Good morning,
We're
Tempa.
smiling and waving at you, though.
So Tempa was supposed to come in person this morning, but she connected with me yesterday and said that was not going to be possible. So I'm grateful that you still were able to join us via Zoom, I guess. So let's just get right into it, Tempa. Tell us about your background. Tell us about how you got interested in this. You have a pretty special story yourself.
Yes, ma'am. I am happy to share that. And thank you again for having me this morning. It's always an honor to be able to share my story, the story of our organization, and all the great work we do. I am the spouse of a Marine and Army veteran. He was served in the reserves throughout our marriage. He was a Marine when I met him, and we got married, and he eventually got out of the Marine Corps Reserves and decided to go back in 2007.
Wow.
Meanwhile, serving as a police officer. So when he got out of the Marine Corps, he became a police officer, and I was a high school teacher. And we were bumping along in our careers, and after 9/11, he just had that calling to go back and serve again. And so he joined the Army Reserves because he was too old for the Marine Corps. If you're past 35, they really don't want you back. So he wanted to serve, so he joined the Army Reserves, and 7 months later, he was deployed to Afghanistan. And of course, he went into a special operations unit because that's who he is, and if he's going to do it, he wants to, do it all the way. So we, being a police officer's wife, I didn't really have huge concerns. To me, it was just another thing, and I supported his desire because I understood his why. But he was away from us for about 15 months. And when he came home, he was not the same man that I sent over there. And we were not prepared to deal with, the impact that it had on our family. So I had a junior high student, a high school student, and a daughter in college. It was her first year in college, as a matter of fact. And it was a rough time. We had never dealt with PTSD. It took me about 6 months to talk him into going to the VA to get some help. And he did that. But he was like in this fog. He wasn't really as self-aware of what was happening with him. But the family, we all knew, because, he had a lot of anxiety, hypervigilance, a lot of anger, rage. And this was just something that we weren't prepared for. So he went to the VA, and he was very lucky. He got in with a psychiatrist that was really caring, and he saw him for several years, but he was a very caring man, and he took really good care of him. But it took us about a year to get him into any actual therapy. So that first year that he was getting help was just medication only, and he really needed some intensive therapy. So during all of this time, I decided, once we finally got in to see some counseling for me and the kids, I discovered through through my counseling that there just isn't a lot of culturally competent help out there for families who are going through PTSD. And especially for military and first responders, we're kind of a different culture. We experience life in a little bit different way. My husband, had 18 years of police work under his belt before he deployed to Afghanistan. So that those traumas accumulate over time, and you don't really realize it. It's like, the river is flowing and it erodes that rock, but the rock doesn't really realize it's being eroded. So that's a metaphor that I often use. And we went through and stumbled through quite a few community counselors to get the help that we needed. And I discovered through my process that something has to be done. I have to do my part. And so I felt called to go back to school. So I left teaching completely and went full-time back to school to get my counseling and psychology degree, because I wanted to help other families that were experiencing what we were. And so we have been up the hills and down through the valleys, over the last 10 years. And we have had to do the hard work that it takes for healing. My husband is a lot better. Part of our story is that about 3.5 years home with him trying to get the help he needed, he lost his police career because they learned that he had a PTSD diagnosis. And so, he was not a threat to anyone. He was told to get a fit for duty form when he went to his supervisors to ask for some assistance and help, temporary change in duty while he's healing. And they said, no, you can't be a police officer anymore. And so that was another huge devastation. And part of my why intensified. There were days when I would come home and not even know if I was going to come home, what I was going to come home to. He would be sitting in the same spot that I left him in. And so intense depression set in. So I have lived in it for 10 years, and we've learned how to navigate through it. We've learned how to be resilient. And so that is my personal why. I've dedicated my life to serving others, and I stepped out and founded our Stay the Course program as its own standalone program. I became community partners with 22 Kill along the way, and we started working together, getting to know one another. And we knew, Jacob Schick, I went to him after several years of partnering. I went to Jake and said, hey, I really think we could do something big together. And those of you who may not be familiar with 22 Kill, back in 2013, small group of Marines came together after the 2012 VA study came out that 22 veterans a day are dying by suicide. And they said, this is not okay. We've got to do something about this. We need to raise awareness. So they didn't have a plan to become a nonprofit. They didn't have a plan to become a mental health organization. They were some Marines coming together saying, hey, we need to let people know about this problem. And before you knew it, it became a huge campaign on social media. It went viral when stars like The Rock started doing it, the 22 Kill push-up challenge. And we have our honor ring, which I heard someone say that you wear the honor ring.
Yeah,
yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
And, that honor ring symbolizes that we are not alone. It symbolizes those who serve and those who support those who serve. And now it's even evolved into more. Our mission is to break the stigma of getting help.
Tempa, your story is so incredibly powerful, and I think all of us are over here just a little bit quieted over it. You've talked a little bit about, or actually you've mentioned a couple of times, the help that the family needs in addition to the help that the individual needs. I think that's incredibly important, and I'd like for you to talk as best you can. I don't know, I'm not trying to dig too much into your private business, but your willingness to come on and tell your story can be so empowering. Talk a little bit from the family perspective, the perspective of a wife, a spouse, and a mom, a parent of kids who are also in the middle of this whole event. And you talk about this is going on 10 years. This is not a short recovery time.
No, ma'am. It's lifelong. The recovery is lifelong. But you don't have to stay stuck in it. But as a wife, feeling like you can't do anything to help is the most helpless feeling. And anyone who struggles with a family member or is trying to support a family member who is struggling with any kind of mental health issue, it's not just veterans and first responders, it's human beings. Anyone who is married to someone that's struggling or has children or family members, it feels very helpless. And sometimes we don't really know how best to support. And the first thing we try to do is fix it. And we can't fix it. We have to get our own help so that we can be healthy and a healthy connection with the person who's struggling. And that's the thing about the family is a healthy family has to heal together.
So we
it's
talk
not
a bit
just
about the
one
fact
person.
that he was working towards getting help over, I think you said it was 18 months. And so in the beginning, it was primarily medication. Do you have some advice for spouses, individuals, families who are seeking that psychiatric help, that the intensive treatment in addition to the medication that you referenced?
Yes, medication's important for a lot of people. There are chemical neural pathways and chemical balances that need to be stabilized in the brain. And so it's important, but it's not the only answer. A pill will not solve the problem. It has to be combined with a recipe of different types of therapy depending on what the needs are of the individual. And so I'm a firm believer in holistic healing. So what works for one will not work for another. There are many paths to healing and recovery.
Does your organization do anything to help advise people as to where to go to get this kind of help or treatment that you're saying is so incredibly important? Talk about the resources and the services that you provide there.
Yes. So for us, we provide lots of different modalities, anywhere from peer support, which our non-traditional programs are all centered around peer support. And that is not therapy. It's a non-traditional approach to building connection and camaraderie with other people. So our society has become the most disconnected, I believe, it's ever been in history. And all of these new technologies don't really help with that. And our pandemic hasn't helped either. So building connection with others, finding ways to build connection, whether it be through your church or a peer support group, that's a great place to start. And then other services that we provide are individual, couples, family therapies. Our staff is trained in lots of different modalities, such as EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. That is one of the gold standards for trauma. And we do cognitive behavioral therapy, cognitive processing therapy. We have folks on our staff who are specialized in family and couples therapy as well. So those are our traditional approaches. And if you're out there looking for for something therapeutic or for a counselor, it's important that you find a good fit. And at 22 Kill, we do provide navigation. So when you come in and you talk with us and you say, because oftentimes you don't know what you need, just like we didn't know what we needed. So I had to go and find, it took me 2 or 3 different therapists to find the right fit, and with my kids as well. So don't give up on that first try. If it's not a good fit, find the right fit.
So what kinds of questions would you suggest that people ask to ascertain if they do have a good fit there? How do you know?
I think that if you go in and really say what your needs are. So if you don't want to dig into your childhood, say that up front. Say, this is what I'm struggling with today. And these are the ways that I learn best. These are the ways that work better for me. Speak up in the beginning and say what your needs are. And that way your care can be very individualized.
That's a lot like our guest last week. You need to know how to advocate for yourselves. And so how are you advocating differently for your kids than you would for yourself as you're looking for that help that you would need?
When it comes to getting help for your kids, the parent likes off, like I did in the beginning, is the parent kind of has that need to control that in a way. And kids need to be treated as their own client. So if a child comes in to see us, we're going to talk with the kids. We're going to talk with the kids, and find out what their needs are. We're going to talk with the parents, but then we always communicate with the parents that now this is your child's therapy session. So if something goes wrong, we will let you know. So it's important that the children have a way to advocate for themselves. It's very empowering for the children to be able to have their own voice in the therapy.
So, Tempa, you've got a friend visiting you.
I know. We love. Can you say
it.
hello to your puppy?
Yes.
Oh, what a sweet baby!
Who is that?
This is Mikey.
Hello, Mikey.
Hi,
He's
hi,
adorable.
Mikey. Hi.
This is a good chat. Mikey did a good job. It's time to take a station identification
I was just
break.
Say, yeah.
This is the JP, Kathy, and the Crew network at JPK Broadcasting. You can catch us at jpkcrew.com. This mental health moment brought to you by Acadia Healthcare for all your healthcare needs, whether it's substance abuse, mental health, anything, they are there for you. You have your own private concierge and Chris Getz. The phone number will be put up on the screen here in just a moment. Please reach out to her in this time. And I'm talking the time of the pandemic, 2020, the holiday season, all of those things. Reach out. They are the largest provider for therapy, inpatient, outpatient, and Chris Getz is also a licensed professional counselor, so she is prepared to keep everything you speak to her about confidential, private, and provide you with assistance. We want to thank Acadia Healthcare for sponsoring this mental health moment.
Absolutely.
And so, Tempa, a lot of questions are coming in from the crew.
No surprise.
Yes.
And a lot of support coming in from the crew. Fred Nort, who was a Lake Success PD on Long Island for over 26 years. He is now retired from there and has moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He's actually a life coach, and he's offered to be a life coach for your husband for free if he has that need, and would love for you to, and we'll connect you guys on the feed, would love to do whatever he can to support what it is that you guys are doing there at 22 Kill. And so, again, his name is Fred Nort, and again, we'll connect you guys with information, but he is willing to offer his life coach program to your husband for free.
Wow.
That's amazing. Thank you, Fred, so much for that support. And I feel like there could be a lot of synergy with something like that with our tribe.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. And of course, a lot of other questions have come out about first responders and some of the traumas that they go through. And so one of the big questions that came out was this. When our first responders, particularly police officers, go through personal trauma, such as a father dying suddenly before they are allowed to go back on patrol, is there mandatory counseling they undergo? And if not, should police departments implement that kind of policy?
Different departments have different policies around mental health. And the good news is that more and more agencies are taking notice of the needs of their officers. We are making a difference as a community in breaking through that stigma of it's not okay to not be okay. We get, actually in the North Texas area, we get called out by different agencies that we collaborate with to come out and do debriefings with officers when they've experienced a critical incident. And we are really proud to partner with our local agencies. So that is a good sign that there is a lot going on in the mental health area. And people are waking up and taking notice.
Well, I'll tell you, the crew is so pleased to have you on today, and they are such a big part of what JP, Kathy, and hence the name The Crew is to this show, and just cannot thank you enough for being a part of this. And Patty, you bringing Tempa on, and it being Pearl Harbor Day. I mean,
this was so perfect.
I was so excited to have her join us, and truly, Tempa, I was not exaggerating, as you can see. I said JP, Kathy, and the crew, and I'm not just saying that because that's the title of the group.
No, that's
these
our
two
crew.
Folks individually and genuinely, their entire crew. JP, I had originally had Tempa scheduled to be during that veteran marathon that you were putting together.
Gotcha.
Things happened and it didn't work out that way, but I also felt like she has so much to offer, and that organization is so important. Do you want to share anything about how people can contact you at the organization there, and talk about your future plan? Because I know that you have a merging of companies. So do you want to talk a minute about how you're going to go forward with that in the new year?
Yes, absolutely. We are excited. As I said earlier, we've truly evolved over the last several years to become a full-blown mental health organization. And our tagline has been one tribe, one fight. And so in that, the tribe is the most important piece. And we want to actually expand that beyond the Texas borders. We have a very huge vision for the organization. And 22 Kill is our heritage. It's where we began, but we have grown into something much bigger. And so in January, we will be launching a full umbrella over all of our programs called One Tribe Foundation. And we're not, we're still the same organization. 22 Kill isn't going anywhere. That will always be our suicide prevention and education program, but it will fall under our One Tribe Foundation umbrella moving forward. So we have a lot of really great partnerships across the nation, and we can't do this alone. It takes all of us working together. All of the mental health organizations that you guys collaborate with are very important to us, because recovery, it takes all of us working together to make it happen.
Absolutely. And one of the things when you, and we've put the link to 22 Kill, because you can find the different local chapters through your website. It's a great, very easy, very user-friendly website. The first thing that pops up, big, bright red with big white letters, says, if this is an emergency, please dial 911 or the National Suicide Hotline, which we've given this number out again, but let's give it out right now, 1-800-273-8255. And then you talk about 22 Kill, and there's a place to go for more info. So again, if you are struggling right now, whenever you see this, if you're a veteran, if you're somebody, you're in need, please reach out. These are people who will help you.
Yes. In addition to that, if you prefer chatting online, messaging rather than talking, you can text hello to 741-741, and that is the national text line, suicide prevention text line.
741-741. Okay, and hello.
Yes.
Okay.
Text hello to 741-741. And it's a nonprofit organization. It's nationwide. I actually have a veteran collaborator and colleague who actually volunteers for that chat line. So there are very well trained, well qualified people who are behind the scenes there. So I encourage everyone listening to go to our webpage and explore all of our programs. It would take a long time to share all the details.
Right.
But we do so much, and we are there for you. We've even created our own 24/7 line where if you need to speak with a therapist, we have a therapist on call 24 hours a day.
Also want to say a quick hello from Chuck and Michelle Wright. They say good morning, Tempa.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. Yes. Hey, Chuck and Michelle.
And one of the things I wanted to put you on the spot, because I know you can handle this, because Mikey he's doing his thing, hanging out, and we love that. So I know I can put you on the spot. We have 2 veteran shows that are a part of the JPK Broadcasting Network. And we would love to have you be a part of those shows at some point and come on and talk about 22 Kills. Chuck Wright is one of the co-hosts with Andrew White on Kilroy's Conversation. And then we also have My Son, My Veteran, which is sponsored by the DAV.
And goes out to all
Greg
the military
O'Connell
bases
is the host
worldwide.
for that.
Yes.
So, and again, like Kathy said, that's what the importance of that is. It goes through the Pentagon.
To soldiers right
and
now.
then it is sent out to all active duty bases throughout the world. And it's sent out to the VA members and to all of the DAV members. So about 4 million people will get the information. So
and it's the right audience.
Yeah,
right,
I'm putting you on the spot. Are you up for it?
Oh, Yes, I am very up for it. Thank you so much. Let's do it.
And we also have another show called This Pink Cloud, and it's about sobriety. And we know that a lot of our soldiers come home and end up having substance abuse issues. And this is a very non-judgmental show about sobriety and how to get help in case you feel like you're going down the path of abusing drugs or alcohol. So that might be another good show to connect you with as well.
I would love to connect with that. Self-medication is what I call it, because we all medicate ourselves in different ways.
Right. There you go.
Right.
Didn't quite give you that fair warning. I sort of expected somebody to draft you this morning, Tempa.
So
sorry if you feel like I didn't give you full disclosure, but I knew JP and Kathy would nail an idea and get you to come on board again.
Well, and we've got a third veteran show coming on after the first of the year, so we will
so
be.
No pressure.
As you can tell, we are huge supporters of veterans, first responders, law
military,
enforcement,
yes,
and military. But you know, the nice thing is that we all are in it together. And just to show you how good the crew is, when we held our telethon, it was the first telethon we've ever held. Our goal was
for the Texas DAV.
Correct.
Yes.
And it was, and all 100% of the funds went to disabled veterans. And we were able to, our goal was $1,000 and we raised almost $40,000.
Wow.
And so the crew really came out strong.
Stepped up. 10-hour telethon and had a lot of veterans on the show. We'd love to have you next year on the telethon.
Absolutely.
I'd love to.
That'd be great.
So
I am here anytime it's appropriate and you need me. I would love to contribute any way that I can.
And Fred Nort says you have been adopted. Laugh out loud.
Is that her personally or the organization?
The whole shebang and caboodle.
Her family, Mikey's included in that.
Yeah, Mikey's included in that. Well, thank you so much, Tempa, and God bless you, and happy
thank you so
Christmas
much for what
to
you do,
and your husband as well, and just keep fighting.
Blessings to your family.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you
this
all.
morning. Yep. It's been wonderful.
Tempa Sherrill, Chief Operating Officer at 22 Kill. You know, Patty, you and Steve do such a great job with the mental health moment. What a fantastic guest to come on and talk today and resource.
So appropriate,
to people out there. And we want to thank Acadia Healthcare.
Acadia really has made this all possible. They've continued to support our work in this endeavor, helping to make recommendations for guests when we're running short on brain power. So absolutely, Chris Getz has been tremendously. I didn't get Tempa's name from Chris, but she also knows Chris. So she's got quite the Rolodex.
I imagine. But yeah, for all of your
Tempa's calendar, we can keep it full just on her own.
We'll keep her busy. And we want to thank Acadia Healthcare for all that they do in sponsoring the Mental Health Moment on the JPK Broadcasting Network. They have truly been dedicated to getting this information out. Every time we've gone to Chris Getz and Acadia Healthcare, they have said it is whatever you need to make sure that this comes out. They also support a program out of Oklahoma City that does this as well on the radio. And so, and again, Chris Getz is your personal concierge for all of your mental health needs, substance abuse needs.
Don't suffer. There's no need.
She's a licensed professional counselor, and so she can handle all of your questions, and they stay confidential and personal with her. And we're going to flash this on the screen one more time before we head out and wish you a happy Monday. Don't forget, it is Murphy's Law Monday, so be prepared for the unprepared, as it may happen to you. Happy Monday.
Well, and then remember those who we lost, who paid the ultimate sacrifice on Pearl Harbor Day. And you know what? Let's make sure this next generation, the younger kids coming up, know about Pearl Harbor Day. And, just like JP was saying earlier, if you see somebody in the military, you see somebody who's wearing a ball cap and maybe they're a Vietnam veteran or whatever the case may be, thank you for allowing me to do what I do. Thank you for my freedom. Thank you for fighting for me. It takes you 2 seconds to give a kind word and a smile to them.
And I do recommend the book A Day of Infamy by Walter Lord. Lord is probably one of the best books written about that date in infamy. So anyways, as we say goodbye, have a very blessed Monday, and we will see you on Wednesday. Do not forget to tune in to the JPK Broadcasting Network. You can find our lineup at jpkcrew.com. That is jpkcrew.com.
Yeah, and stay tuned, 10 o'clock. Heart and Soul of Texas Women will be on, and Lisa and I are ready to spread some holiday joy, and we've got a great guest today. And then tune into all of our shows throughout the week. We're getting a full lineup, and starting in 2021, we're even adding a few more shows on. So,
and to all my educator friends, we are getting ready to have a show come on. We're going to tape for the first time on Tuesday, and I will be their first guest. Talking about at-risk youth, because they all three. There's going to be 3 of them are 20 years of age, and we're at-risk youth.
Yeah.
So teachers, principals, counselors,
parents,
you want to tune into this,
uncles, grandparents,
and hear what kids are thinking when they are at risk, and how you can help them, and how you can not help them.
Real excited about this show.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. So take us on out of here, Bree. Give us the music and let us dance.
Great job, Bree. You rock today. She rocks every day.